Hello and welcome to All For United with me, John Foster, MUFC. Joining me tonight, as always, is Ben and Matt. How are you guys doing?
Really well, thank you, mate. Yourself?
Yeah, good,
not bad, pal.
Good old, mate, good old. Just to lighten the mood here, Matt didn't realise that it was actually backstage and it was actually working for you, Matt. So every time you came in and you came back out again, you didn't need to do that. You was actually fine. Hello to everybody in the comments. Hope you all keep you well. Are you an hour early? No, you're bang on, mate. 7 o'clock. This is it, 7 till 8 o'clock. We haven't got Natalie today. She's got something going on at home. I'll leave her to tell you what that is. But unfortunately, she can't make it tonight. Short notice, but she does apologise. She obviously she'd be here if she could. Look, this is our match reaction show. Can't wait for it. Man United versus West Ham. Man United won 2-0. So we've got a lot to digest there. First game was Old Trafford. How did everybody do? Casey made a few comments. Casey's exact comments were after the match. It was a game of two halves. We defended set pieces well. 12 points to play for, and we need to take all of them. So we're discussing all these kind of points throughout the show. And also MUTV has started their own Man United women's show. I've got loads to talk about there as well. So lots to digest. Thank you for everybody in the comments. Good to see you all joining in. Ben, mate, let's start off with yourself then. Back to winning ways. How important was that win, Ben?
Very important, mate. We needed the 3 points. It's a big 3 points. Just to basically, I think, settle ourselves down a little bit again, after the Arsenal defeat. I think just to get 3 points on the board, it's important now. We're heading into the business end of the season, and we need to pick up all available points that we can pick up, especially if we can pick up 3 points in all our last games. Then we're on to a winner, The pressure's on Arsenal. Arsenal still got to go win their game in hand yet. Yes, they're fair play. They've got a far superior goal difference on us. But the pressure's on them to go out and win their game in hand. All we could do is just keep on winning, mate. Keep on picking up them points. And the more maximum points that we pick up between now and the end of the season, it will stand us in good stead. And it was a big 3 points on a very, very big occasion for Manchester United.
Absolutely. And you mentioned there about the other teams have still got to get their points. And we're talking about Arsenal there. They have. Their games do seem easy on paper. And obviously we'll discuss this near the time. But Kristen Press said herself that we've won there and we've put the pressure on all the teams above us, not just Arsenal. Do you think they'll feel the pressure, Ben? Do you think Arsenal will feel that pressure that they've got to win every game? I think they've obviously got about 5 games left, or 6 games, where we've got 4. Do you think they'll feel that pressure?
It is, mate. You're in a. Fair enough. There, I think you could. Someone could say that they're more experienced because they're used to a title chase, a title. They're used to being on a title running, aren't they? They're used to that sort of pressure. But it's still pressure, mate. It's still pressure to get a top 3 finish. They're still got to go out there. They're still got to win their games. Because let's face it, they've got to do exactly what we've got to do. We win all their remaining games. Because any drop points is advantage to whichever team drops the point. Whichever team has dropped the points is advantage to that team. Listen, mate, it ain't over yet, mate. It's a lot of football supposed to be playing. What we got 4 games left, have we? League-wise, and they've got 5. Then I believe if they've got a game in hand. I assume Crady will correct me if I'm wrong, but they've still got to win them 5 games, mate. Football's a funny old game at times. It just takes that one. For example, let's say they go win their game in hand, but they'll slip up somewhere else down the road because they're all too confident. Overconfidence can sometimes play on the mind a little bit. Can sometimes give you. Can settle a player too much or settle a team too much. So they've still got to be absolutely on it, mate. And I think it's going to listen, mate. It's going to go right down to the wire. It's going to go down to the last game of the season. I think it will. You know what I mean? Especially if they slip up before the last game of the season, it's going to be such a pressure situation for both teams, and it's down to us to make sure that we apply ourselves the way that we know that we can apply ourselves and. Just go for the kill, mate. Every game now is a must-win game for Manchester United in that hunt for 3rd place.
For me, it's a bit like the Premiership with the men's team, where it goes down to the last game, and I think this will go down to the last game. I agree, and it could be like 0-0 at half time on both matches, and you could be on that kind of split screen, watching both matches at a time, and that's going to be exciting. Look, if that's the case, it's going to be in Arsenal's hands, isn't it? And anything could happen in a few weeks' time. We could be here, upset, angry, all over the moon, and whatever, and anything could happen. Matt, first game at Old Trafford, they definitely seized the opportunity, didn't they?
Yeah, absolutely. I think something that we kind of all discussed in previous shows about sort of getting the promo right, and myself and Ben went into detail that Saturday. And I think, the opportunity was there. We'd taken it. We sort of, got the win, which was, massively needed, especially after recent results. And it was just good to see. I mean, first half wasn't brilliant, disappointing first half really, but I think second half, we worked a little bit harder, we moved the ball a little bit quicker and with more purpose, and we looked a lot better after that. Yeah,
absolutely, I agree. Yeah, quite a few comments coming in, hard to keep up already. There's one there about Tobin Heath should be back after the international break. Well, that would definitely be earlier than I thought. Although Vicky, you are right if she's been training in the background, but then again, unless she's been training for since January, and where is she? But that would be great, wouldn't it? If we can get Brighton out the way, get the internationals out the way, and then obviously get Toby and Leslie back, and that would be fantastic. Just what we need to see. We have got a bit of an announcement. We'll drop that out halfway through the show, but we want to start cracking on with a few points from the game. Ben, Casey said going into the match that she wanted the players to express themselves. I thought they did. I really did, not just because we won, but I think in the first half, even though we were flat and we weren't great, I did like to see that movement in the front four. Me and Matt mentioned on our halftime analysis that it was good to see, but it means nothing unless it actually leads to a goal or leads to a chance. And it didn't really lead to too many things in that first half, but it was kind of exciting to see. What are your thoughts on that, Ben?
Yeah, I think so, mate. Listen, it was a bit of a sloppy, sluggish first half, mate, in a way. It just took a little bit of time to get going. Now, I'm more of the belief, now I've watched it back again a little bit, that I think it's the pitch. Old Trafford is a vast pitch. You've got I think somebody described it, on Twitter, I think I said on myself and Matt's show on Saturday night, someone described Old Trafford as a bit of an energy zapping pitch. Well, it can be, if you've seen the size of it. It's a little bit bigger than LSV. Now, people might say, football pitch, they're all the same dimension. But you've got to think that pitches like Old Trafford and Wembley are a little bit bigger, a little bit wider and a little bit longer. And people might say, it's just a matter of a couple of inches or so, whatever. But still, that makes the whole difference. And I think, some of the players might have been a little bit nervous as well first half. Look, a lot of them, it's their first time playing at Old Trafford, And that stadium is historic, mate. The amount of people or the amount of legends that are played on that hallowed turf. Yes, Old Trafford's changed over the years. It's been rebuilt up. It's been renovated, modernised, and the pitch has obviously all been relaid well over the years. But it's still the same. It's still the same place it's on. It's not moved. It's still the same hallowed turf that George Best and Bobby Charlton and Eric Cantona, David Beckham and Ronaldo and Rooney have all walked out of that same tunnel. So I think it just took a little bit of time for them to settle in, especially first half. But second half, mate, we came out and was on it. We started clicking up through the gears a lot more. We started passing and moving it a bit quicker, looking to our front players a bit quicker. The ball was sharper. It wasn't a little. It was in the first half. I felt like we were a little bit too tentative with the ball. We were scared to go and try and make that eye of the needle, thread the pass through an eye of a needle or something like that. But the second half, much better. We came out and we got two good goals in my opinion. And it's nice to see two really top class players get goals. It might be for me in the biggest stadium and the most famous stadium in world football. So it's all pleasing to see.
One of our originals and one of the best players in the world to score at Old Trafford. It's great to see. A few comments in the screen. I'm loving this one. Pleasing to see LJ and Press playing together. I agree because I've been shouting today for a long time and it's not no one's fault because of injuries, but just to have like a bit of a steady front three, a consistent front three. I never minded who it was. I mean, at the start, obviously, Press, Heath, Russo was looking like a strong three, but now with LJ and Press playing together, they'll probably play again together at Brighton. It'll be like 8 days before they play again from the other day to Brighton, so they should be fully fit. So yeah, great to see them guys playing together. And you talk about Old Trafford and the pitch and how nice the pitch was. How beautiful did it look on screen? You know, that beautiful green. I don't know why it's any greener than any other time, but like, I mean, usually when I watch a men's game, I don't realise it, but that pitch did look really nice. We'll go into details on the goals and the starting lineup shortly. But Matt, what were your overall thoughts on the actual game itself?
Yeah, it's like I sort of said the other day, you know, when me and you were discussing it, you know, I think game of two halves, I think, like I mentioned earlier, you know, first half, not very good at all. There was things where I was like, you know, questioning the setup, and I still do, to be fair, question the setup, the way we sort of approach the game, surprising with some of the choices maybe in the lineup, but I think even still, regardless of that, you know, I still think that we had more than enough chances. I think, you know, first half, we must have had about 8 shots and probably 1 or 2 possibly on target. But second half, I think we changed it up. You know, we looked a little bit better. You know, we looked to use the wings more, which was something that I thought we should have done first half. And yeah, I think Press looked better second half as well. You know, linked up well with LJ. The back line was still a little bit wobbly in terms of, you know, sort of balls over the top and things. And let's not forget, you know, West Ham had chances. They were just not very clinical. They had plenty of chances. Mary had to make 2 or 3 really good saves to sort of keep us in it at 1-0 and 2-0, really. But I think, you know, the main thing for me was sort of, you know, to get the performance, to get the win. You know, we got a performance in the second half and it won us the game. And that was important, just having been on a bad run. And it's something now, like you said at the start of the show, now 4 games left, it has to be 12 points. Yeah.
I mean, a lot of talk about a game of 2 halves and a few people being negative about the first half, and rightly so when you're at home against bottom of the league. You know, we're not a team at the moment this season that's free flowing when it comes to goals, are we? So it was always going to be tough. But obviously, you'd like to see a few more chances in that first half. But I can't remember the Casey's exact words, but the conversation came up in one of the interviews after the game. What did you say to them at half time? Because, like I say, it was a game of 2 halves. I think Casey kind of hinted I didn't need to say too much because the players already knew that they weren't good enough. Matt, on our halftime analysis show on the Twitter Live, you called for a couple of substitutions, and those happened, didn't they, in that second half?
They were spot on.
Get yourself on the bench, Matt. You talk to Casey, but no, but it was it worked, didn't it? And what do you think was said at halftime, Matt, to kind of change something? Is it just a case of being patient, carry on, your times will come, or was it a tactical change?
I think a little bit of everything. I think the first and foremost, like Casey come out and said, you know, those people that were poor had to be told. And listen, they know who they are. And it had to be done, and they had to use the ball better. I think for me, you know, that we didn't use it too well at times. And certain players, you know, should have performed better than they did, especially first half. But I think tactical tweak, you know, we got a little bit more out of the game. I mean, it was crying out, wasn't it? Or for me anyway, first half, somebody to come on the wing. Now, I was surprised Hansen didn't start, to be fair. I thought either Stanley or Katie might have been dropped and they might have sort of put Hansen out there. But obviously she came on, we looked better, we got down the wings. And it's like I sort of said to you, you know, in our match reaction, you know, half-time as well, that we needed to sort of, you know, break down that sort of 4 or 5 at the back, you know, to pretty much give ourselves a fighting chance. I think second half, you know, like I say, you know, the link-up play was a lot better. Jackie coming in the middle and Tooney coming in the middle helped massively. And yeah, I think, you know, that tweak alone sort of helped, and it just flowed, didn't it? We looked a lot better.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Let's discuss the starting 11 then. So, there's options at the moment, not as many options as we like with all the injuries, but there were options. Maria, the only change since the Arsenal game. Look, I think I've probably mentioned it on this show or one of the Twitter shows or somewhere. Casey wasn't necessarily, she was disappointed with the results, but she's quite open in the sense that she says that we dominated the ball, dominated possession against Arsenal, It wasn't a bad performance. I think these are some of the quotes she was saying. Ben, is that the reason why you think she stuck with this pretty much the same starting 11? Because she thought that the Arsenal game wasn't that bad and they should dominate West Ham?
I think so, man. I think, I think there was all this talk about maybe a few changes and some wholesale changes, but I didn't think that would be the case, though, in a way, because if you're going to make a wholesale changes especially for a game at Old Trafford, you could be destroying some players' confidences in that, because if you drop someone for a big game like this, or you drop a few, and it wrecks their confidence, it's not going to stand as a good stead for the run-in, for the last 4 games of the season. So I was surprised when I didn't see too many changes. I mean, I don't understand why we don't play. We're not playing. We've got an out-and-out winger an out-and-out wide forward on the bench in Kirsty Anderson. Why are we not playing to our strengths? Because we know we're better when we're playing things down, having a natural wide player, getting things down the sides, and playing that way instead of trying to congest everything in the middle. The thing is, though, I mean, I know Tooney can play out wide and etc., but I think she's so used to playing through the middle now that she gets sucked in to the middle. There's no width sometimes. You look at United, and it's like a lot of the players that play. Obviously, we have to do it because we've had so many injuries to key personnel throughout the season. But so many players are condensed into the middle, and it seems a bit like the men's problems down, especially on the right hand side, where everyone's get condensed into the middle. There's not enough width, and I'd just like to see us play with a little bit more width, so we go one-on-one with the full-backs, so we can maybe get the ball out wide quicker and let our wingers then cut in if need be and get a shot away. I just think everything, to me, is a bit too condensed, and I think it's just, I wasn't expecting too many changes, to be fair, but the one player I did think was going to start was Hayley Ladd, which I know I've seen in a few comments that people are still scratching their heads why she didn't start this one either. Again, whether it's a fitness thing, I couldn't tell you, mate, because she looked all right when she came on, mate. She looked like she carried a knock or anything. But listen, I'm not a football manager. Casey Stoney is, at the end of the day. She knows what she's doing. And I think sometimes it's easy for us fans to criticise, I think, and it's good in a good way, though. In a good way, we need to question what our managers and what our coaches are doing. But also, I think we need to sometimes take a step back and realise that we don't get paid to be a manager. I get paid to be someone that works with parcels. I'm not a football manager. I'm not a coach. I'm not I'm just a football fan at the end of the day. So sometimes I think we need to trust in our manager, because, listen, mate, there's no other manager I'd rather have at this football club than Casey Stoney. So, and I think she's still learning as well herself. However, I think people need to lay off her a little bit. Because I see it on Twitter. People are going, I get it. I get the questions. But I think some of the criticism is just a little too over the top for me. I think just chill your beans and trust in Casey Stoney and what she's doing.
I think it's very easy to jump on what we see in 90 minutes of the week, whereas she sees it and lives it 24/7. We have got no idea what goes on behind the scenes on a day-to-day basis. She is the best judge of anyone to know who's the best player to play for whatever reason. We look at like minute details, and she looks at like the bigger picture, doesn't she? And I think that's just the way it's going there with social media. The fact that we do a live show now, there's channels out there that do 2 shows a day, not on women's football content but men's football content. And when you do so many shows, you have to look into so much detail, and sometimes you just have to step back. Worst case scenario is, the chances are we could potentially finish 4th, equal on points with Arsenal. Now, at the start of the season, of course, we would have loved 3rd, and we still want 3rd. And me and Matt, I had a little talk about this before. I use the word disappointed. We would be disappointed if we didn't get 3rd at this, with the success that we've had. But on the flip side to that, we've also gained something like 13 points on last season when it comes to closer to the top three. So, you know, we're still a 13-point gain, isn't it? And just because we mentioned victims of our own success at the start of the year, why should our goalposts change, so to speak? Because at the start of the year, if you had said, right, at this point of the season, you know, you'll be equal on points with Arsenal, we just have to win our last 4 and hope that they slip up on one game, that wouldn't have been disastrous. But because we've done so well at the start, all of a sudden, as fans, we've moved them goalposts, rightly or wrongly so, because we're in that position, but all of a sudden we move them goalposts. Is that fair?
Yeah. To be fair, mate, you know, rightly so, because we are Manchester United. Like, let's be fair, the standards are always set very, very high at Manchester United. Whether a team's 6 months old or 150 years old, mate, we set in terms of how long it's been going, we set higher standards because we are used to those very, very high standards. Mm-hmm. But I also think that you think that this team is less than 3 seasons old. You know, 3 full seasons. Let's be fair, because last season was curtain-tailed as well. So you didn't get a full season last year. So I think, you know, I was thinking about it to myself. I think sometimes even I could be a little bit harsh at times. You know what I mean? It's a natural reaction for us as a football fan to be a bit harsh. You know, and I'm thinking, why has Case done that? Why has Case done that? And then I was thinking to myself today, like, listen, at the end of the day, she's a football manager. I'm not, you know, and she's still learning on the job as well. You know, she's going to be making mistakes a little bit, you know, but there's no one I'd rather have at the football club. She gets it. She's every bit of a Manchester United manager, man. She has the aura about her, you know, and I don't think you get that with very many other managers. The Emma Hayes is probably the only other one that, maybe Carla Ward, probably only the 2 that I see that maybe have that aura around them, you know. But for me, listen, I think, I don't know about constructive criticism, but I've seen some on social media that it goes just too far, mate. It goes too far, and people are calling this out, calling that out, saying she's poor and she needs to go and learn coaching from elsewhere. This is Alex Ferguson. He used to be a mastermind at this. He used to bring coaches in from all around the world, like to come in and help, and like your Carlos Queiroses, your Mullersteins, you know. They used to be have their heads in the world game of football. They used to change United's dynamic that way. You think of the assistant managers done over the years. Steve McLaren, one of them. Steve McLaren might be a Wally with a brolly, but he's a very good coach. You know, Brian Kidd, another fantastic coach that we had. Obviously, he was involved with Manchester City at the minute, or was. I don't know if he still is. You know, so that just shows you how good a coach he is. So just remember, we're still young in terms of a team, and we're still getting used to things. Casey's still getting used to playing, to trying out new things. Yes, she might stick with a system that we may get frustrated with at times. We may question a lot why we're not changing up, why we're not. But maybe she's trying to instill in these players while we've got these injuries to key personnel, while especially in these difficult times during the pandemic, mate. You know, nothing's the same. We've got the fans, we haven't got our 12 man in the stands. Things are not normal. People can't see their families and everything. You know, we'll try and stick to a system in a way that doesn't confuse everybody. And in a world where it's confusing, it's fucking everyone's like, you know, it's difficult because like people can't go home to see their families. You think that it's hard for players from abroad that they can't go at times this over this pandemic. They can't go and see their families and everything. It must be frustrating for them. It must be generally physically draining as well. So you've got to think that maybe Case is trying to do things that she does that benefits the players to try and keep a bit of harmony. I think the word's harmony. I'm looking for harmony in the camp. You know, I just think, listen, trust the manager. That's all I'm trying to say, because I'm blabbing on and I don't know where the fuck I'm going with it.
Yeah, sorry. Basically, yeah, for myself on that, it's like, in a nutshell, a manager is more than what you see on the 90 minutes of the pitch, isn't it?
That's what I'm trying to get at, yeah, but I'm trying to lost myself in what I'm trying to say. Nothing new there then.
There is a comment on screen, which I do agree. Look, I'm not saying everyone's perfect. I'm not saying Casey's perfect. I'm not saying United's perfect. There's one question. There's one point there that I put up on screen earlier, which is bang on. We need to score more goals, because if that was
absolutely.
Yeah, if we did score more goals, then obviously the goal average wouldn't be so bad now, would it? And I think everyone agrees with that. To break into that top three, same as last season as well, the goal average is far superior to the other teams, isn't it? Match started 11, so Maria came in. Obviously, there was potential talks of her maybe playing alongside Amy or something slightly different. Obviously, giving Millie a rest or changing it around a little bit. But Maria played as fullback. What were your thoughts on that starting lineup that you saw?
I mean, to be honest, I know sort of a couple of you said before, you mentioned about Ben, I know, said he didn't want too many changes. I actually thought there'd be at least one more. I was surprised that only Maria came in. I think obviously the defence has been a worry, but I think from an attacking sense as well, and we talk about that word clinical that we've sort of been using for the past 18 months. I thought there'd be one more change in midfield. I really did, but there wasn't. And I think, Maria came in and, fair enough, she's done a good job again. Not really put a foot wrong. I actually thought she might have gone centre-back, to be fair, and either seen Amy Turner at full-back or maybe Kirsty Smith, but I'm thinking maybe Kirsty Smith isn't fully fit still, which is why she's on the bench, which, again, is fair enough. We got the change, and, I think Maria helped if you watch the match back and you look at sort of defending a couple of set plays and free kicks. Maria was in there organising, which is something we've lacked, and she was on the end of clearing a few, so... Yeah, fair play on that. Not a problem there. But I think, again, we need to... I know we all talk about Hayley Ladd. I can't, for the life of me, it's beyond me where she's disappeared to, why she's on the bench. It seems to be that her name is just super glued to that bench, or she is, should I say, these past few games. And it's baffling because, Casey talks about form and picking people on merit. You've got a player who deserves to be there on merit, who's banging form, and you've got people in the starting 11 that have been off form for the past 3-4 games. So it's a little bit confusing in that sense, and I think that's where there might be some criticisms, either of the team or of the manager. And I think from my point of view, I mean, maybe rightly so, possibly, I think. But it's difficult when sort of somebody comes out and says something and it's not backed up. I mean, for me, like I said, there was more than one change that could have been made and should have been made. But that said, again, it comes down to we've got the win. But I think, next week, obviously, Brighton away. We've got, tricky game against Everton coming up. So, yeah, we've got to, I think now, she must be able to see surely that Groen and Tooney and Ladd is the best three to have in the middle. And then whether you bring in Hansen or you keep LJ wide or whichever, then that's absolutely fine. But I think we need to sort of, with the injuries we've got now, we need to find our best team. And at the minute, I still think we're looking for that. Despite having lost a number of players for so long now, still, it's weird for me that we're still chopping and changing things because for me, I wouldn't change a winning side and I wouldn't change a side that was on form. Now, if Hayley dropped an absolute clanger week after week after week, then fine, not an issue. But yeah, it's definitely not for me. It's definitely not the form of anybody else keeping out the side. It can't be. It really can't, because I'm as speechless as anyone else.
There's so many different ways to look at it, isn't there? And just before I give my opinion on the midfield three, it was good to see Maria getting some games. I think we need to see more of that. I hope that she keeps a spot now against Brighton. That's not against anybody else, but we need to see what Maria can do, don't we? So, and you mentioned about the good tackles. Don't forget the assist as well. I know Millie won the original header on the first goal, which we'll talk about shortly, and then obviously Maria won her header and obviously went to LJ's head. So good to see that side of the game as well. Regarding the midfield three, so many different ways to look at it. Our best time this season, I think, has been when Tooney played with Jackie and Katie. Obviously, Hayley isn't playing. Was that because, as always, when Katie tends to play the easier teams, she leaves Ladd out? So she leaves Ladd out because we can have more creative players, even though let's not be deceived on Hayley Ladd actually getting some assists this season as well. So it could be to do with that. Could it be to do with the fact that Katie didn't want to change that midfield three because they feel that they've got a point to prove, because maybe a few fans were a little bit uneasy with that starting 11? it could be a number of different things, couldn't it? And also, how do you define the word form as well? I mean, you know, Casey think to herself, right, Katie Zellum got a goal the other week. She's on form. You know, it's just so hard, isn't it? And obviously, I mean, we mentioned Lucy Stan. You know, so she came back, had a great game after her injury. Played okay against West Ham as well. It's just so many different things. Obviously, I don't know. It might not be anything against Hayley Ladd, but then again, on the flip side, Matt, what you said, Hayley Ladd hasn't done anything different to the other three.
No, I think the thing for me, though, we say easier teams, but then Hayley didn't start the game against Arsenal, which is one of the reasons why I said, I mean, not just her, but that the team and the way it was set up, I said we're in big trouble. And so it proved. So I don't know. I don't even know if we can now say it's against the lesser teams because, listen, we've been beaten by lesser teams. You know, Reading took points off us. So, I mean, I'd call them a lesser team. Obviously, they're higher up than, say, you know, your Villas and your West Ham, but it's still a lesser team compared to us. So I think in that respect, it's, yeah, strange. And it can't, you'd be questioning the coaches and the coaching staff if it was fitness, wouldn't you, at this stage of the season? And it's not like she's, you know, had a knock or been injured. So, yeah, who knows?
Yeah, it's definitely
it could be out there applying themselves on the training field as well. Because that's something we don't see. You know, our players are applying themselves on the training pitch every day. You know, and on Casey sees that. You know, we only see little snippets of whenever they drop a little bit of a video or you know pictures out on social media of training. And so we don't know what these girls are training like every week in, week out. So, you know, that's another thing I think we have to consider as well into our thinking, you know, about why players not getting to the teams and why certain players are. I don't think it's what people are saying. Like some people are like, oh, it's favoritism, it's this and it's that. I can't see it being favoritism, me. Not where we are now, man. It can't be. You know, I think it's something. Surely it's got to be what she's seen in training. Surely.
Yeah,
we like stick that anyway.
I mean, that's a good comment. I don't think it's I don't think there's anything behind it, but yeah, it's definitely a comment. Yeah, you also need to consider about the way Casey might want to play as well. I mean, if she wants to play a specific type of game, maybe we know how good Hayley Ladd is. We keep coming back to her Hayley Ladd because obviously this is the most debatable one, isn't it, on the starting 11? And we don't want to harp on about it because I do want to move on, but there's just so many things behind the scenes that Hayley Ladd might not be able to do as good as maybe other players in that midfield at a certain type of play. It's like playing Tooney out wide. She's obviously favoured Tooney to play out wide now over Hansen. Now, we know all of Hansen's strengths. We know more than most United fans of all of Hansen's strengths. And as a winger, I consider Hansen a much better winger than Tooney. But is Casey looking at something different? Is she looking at someone who could actually take players on? And obviously not, and must be looking at something slightly different, and that's why she chose Tooney in that role. It all depends on the kind of passages of play, I guess, as well, isn't it? We want to move on and talk about the goals, but before we do, let's talk a little bit about the future of our channel that we've got going on here and things to look forward to. So it's a shame Natalie couldn't make it tonight. I'm sure she'll watch back and she'll be on the next show. The top and tail of it is, guys, we've been doing 2 YouTube shows a week. It started off as just one back in September, me, Natalie, and somebody else. And then, obviously, we managed to get Ben and Matt involved on numerous occasions, which led to us having a second show. And since then, we've got a few people wanted to come on the show, and we're really eager as a channel to try and bring you content as much as we can. So we then created Twitter Live broadcasts as well, which obviously Matt and Ben have been doing a lot of. So if you're not part of our Twitter account on the WFC account, on Tuesday night, Matt's got his show and Ben's got his on Saturday, and we've kind of showed that the owner of this channel that we could put together 4 shows a week. So because of that, we've managed to get our own channel. It's still part of the Orpha United brand, but we don't want to dilute the Orpha United channel because it is predominantly a men's channel. So we don't want to push 4 shows a week, if not 5 or 6 or 7 eventually, onto the men's channel. So we're going to have the women's channel as well. The flagship show that we started on with me and Nat will continue on this channel, but still be visible on our new channel. But every other show that we're going to create, every every day or every week or whatever it is, we'll go on to the WFC show. So it's massive for us because it's still going to be under the All for United brand. And now we can basically run 4 YouTube shows a week. And I think we're going to be able to hit 5 or 6, if I'm honest. So, Matt, I mean, if you just want to touch on your thoughts on that and what we've been doing and what we've got lined up as well, that'll be great.
Oh, where to start? So obviously you told me, didn't you? I had a conversation yesterday when I was down at the Leicester game covering that. And yeah, it's one of them now because obviously I don't know if people are aware, Periscope, which is what we do our lives on, is actually being removed from Twitter. So in terms of Twitter lives, we're still not sure yet. And obviously it's April very, very soon, isn't it? So I think going forward, this is fantastic because it means that we can get more content out. I think if there's, like I said to you, if there's a day where we've got a spare few hours, we can literally, we can pre-record shows as well. So yeah, there's more scope obviously going forward in terms of the YouTube. There's more scope in terms of general women's football. So if we look at branching out, for example, I mean we've had fans on from other clubs, haven't we? We've sort of covered things. I know, like I say, I was down yesterday hoping to catch Charlie. Didn't happen, but fingers crossed, sort of going forward in the future. And again, just round up and in general, we've got obviously ex-players that are doing well at other clubs. We've got players that are out on a player that's out on loan. And again, it's just about sort of providing that insight, to fans, to United Women fans, to football fans in general, and sort of, just get everybody involved and be able to provide more quality content. And I think the great thing is as well is that the more shows we can put out and do, the more guests we can have and the better quality of guests we can have. And I don't want to go too much into the future, but we are in talks with sort of various guests, hopefully for summer and the season ending, and sort of planning ahead now. So this will only add to that in my view. And I think, like I said to you, John, yesterday, very exciting now because I think it's good that the women's team gets the recognition from All for United as a brand, and they've sort of seen, we do pull in the views. We've got a dedicated, great sort of fan base that tunes in and people that come in the comments every single week. And yeah, like I say, massively looking forward to this now.
Yeah, absolutely. So it is really important that everybody who subscribes to All for United spreads the word and follows us onto another channel as well. So it's still All for United. It's still run by the same person, but it's really important that you actually come across with us. You'll miss plenty of shows. You'll only see one show if you don't subscribe to that new show. So we'll mention it on every show until this happens. It's probably going to happen for maybe 2 to 3 weeks' time. So we will continue to mention it, but please mention it in the comments as well so other people read it as well. So we don't want people, because we average between 250 to 400 people watching each show. It'll be a shame if people miss what we've done and only tune into the one show. So, Ben, just your thoughts on that before we carry on with the game?
Mate, what did I say yesterday? Yeah, that's what I said. So this is a game changer, mate. This could be a game changer because I still think on YouTube there's a massive gap in the market for women's content. I don't think there's enough. I really don't think there's enough. There is a gap there, and now I think with Ben from the other Ben, not me, Ben from All for United that runs All for United, top lad, man. I think he's given us now the platform to go and really put ourselves out there on YouTube, listen, and the sky's the limit for us, in terms of what we can do, for shows, whether it be live shows, pre-recorded shows, as Matt says, get guests on, Listen, I'm working a few angles as well on guest-wise because I know a few people as well, so listen, if we could broaden it out, and obviously it's always going to be predominantly Manchester United. Let's be fair, it's always going to be predominantly Man United. But sometimes it's also good to get views like we had a couple of journalists on. We've had a coach on. Get views from the bigger footballing world. So I think, listen, I think we can really make an absolute dent in this. Really, really go for it and get ourselves out there as the forerunners of women's football content. Because I still don't think YouTube. There's enough women's content out there. Yes, you get quite a few podcasts, but YouTube-wise, I don't see very many. So hopefully, this is now our chance to build ourselves, and over the coming future months and years, we can really make a name for ourselves out there. So again, hats off to yourself, Natalie, and Matt and Amber as well on Twitter. Let's not forget Amber for laying in such good work, good hard work, and big thanks to obviously Ben as well, who runs this channel, because he's given us now the platform that we can now go on and make great content for our loyal, for not only our loyal fan base, but hopefully all the new people that we can get joining us over the coming days, months, weeks, and all that lot.
Yeah, I think, look, we're like a good group of mates. We're a good group of fans, and we all bring our own strengths, don't we? And if I'm honest, we're doing 4 shows a week without even trying. And that doesn't mean that that we don't put work in, because we do. I mean, Matt puts like loads of tweets out. Obviously, Ben with some of the graphics, me with all the planning and organising. Natalie's always making phone calls to get guests on as well, and we all do our bit. But on the flip, what I'm trying to say is, we are kind of falling into a routine that works for us. And I think that's what a lot of creators on YouTube do. They'll start it for a week or two, realise that they can't maintain it, and then it goes nowhere. We are maintaining this quite easily, in my opinion. So, we're putting 4 shows out, and we haven't even mentioned the pre-match show that we do, and the half-time analysis show. All that will be on YouTube as well. So anyway, look, we've said our bit on that. We want to get back to the match, and we want to talk a bit about MUTV show. But just want everyone to know that there will be a lot more content, and I'm looking forward to it. I really am. So let's talk about the goals and the player of the match then. So, Matt, if you want to start us off then. So obviously, LJ scored the first goal at Old Trafford, followed by a superstar in press. What were your thoughts on the goals?
Yeah, two decent goals. I think the second one more so, like I tweeted at the time, it was a lovely little sort of build up with that, some nice sort of passing and movement, and lovely finish by Kristen Press. And to be fair, we it's the same again, isn't it? We should have had more goals, and we could have had more goals, but I think really good from what we saw. And I think that's just the thing now. We need to start. I mean, again, 16 shots and 5 on target sort of tells you that story, doesn't it? And that's why it was only 2-0. But some good play, some good goals. LJ again continues to break records, doesn't she? She's got first WSL, things like that. First goal at Old Trafford. So quality play. I think everybody talks highly of LJ, and it's good now. I just hope she can stay fit for these sort of remaining games, because for me this year we've barely seen her. We really haven't. So I think if we can keep her fit now and keep her firing, then we always know what we're going to get from her. Very, very good player. But overall, two good finishes. I think player of the match for me, I was torn between sort of Jackie and Tooney, and that was only based on the second half performance. But I think I'll probably just give it Jackie. I think Jackie just shades it for me, just for her overall play. And she was unfortunate not to bag herself. Really, she had a chance or 2 as well, to score goals. But it's one of them. We know how much she needs to be in the middle, and I think times at the first half she ended up out wide on the right, and she sort of maybe had to cover or maybe drifted out, and it was a little bit difficult for her because of the way we play and the way we set up. But I think now, we saw a better player in that second half. We saw a better team in that second half, to be fair. But good, like I say, good attacking moves. It'd be nice to see some more like little, creative bits like that. Only just adds to the excitement, doesn't it?
Definitely, yeah. For myself, I mean, it's great to see LJ get that goal. I think she's, for me, is the player in the moment at the moment. I thought she looked dangerous against Arsenal, even though obviously the result didn't go our way. I thought she deserved that goal against West Ham. But for me, the goal the best goal of the match had to be the second one. That through ball from Jackie. Ben, talk us through it, mate, because that to me made it look so easy. But why can't we do that all the time?
That goal there is what I was banging on about the other day. Playing your best players in the best positions, mate. And this is what I'm saying about Jackie Gronan. Jackie, for me, needs to be in them positions because she's the one player that can make that type of ball happen, that type of pass happen. She has the vision to spread that ball through. And mate. And this is what I mean. I don't want to see Jackie on the back. Fair play to her against Arsenal. She ran her socks off. I don't want to see her in our box. I want to see her up near the opposition's box. Doing the damage. And that's why I like to see Jackie playing. And the ball, mate, oh my God. Even Bruno Fernandes would be proud of that ball. That's a Paul Scholes type through ball, that, mate. Just absolutely, that's precision, absolute precision on that pass, you know. And it's a really good finish from Press, mate. You know, I just, mate, it just, you know, I think, you know, if we could play Jackie up near there, you know, up where she could do the damage, mate, I think it'll bring us, it'll stand us more in good stead than it would be if we see Jackie on the edge of our own box, you know. Just let Jackie do what Jackie does best. And I think, you know, that goal just epitomises everything that Jackie Groening's about, mate. You know, the vision, you know, to try and thread a ball like that through, you know, it's like second nature. You just have to think about it. It's just like, there you go and finish that press. You know, that's what I want to see. I don't want to see, you know, fair play, mate, against Arsenal. She was really, really good against Arsenal, mate. Did a job that, you know, normally she doesn't do. You know, is it tracking back and tackling her in her own box and everything. But listen, that's what that's all about. And we said it. We struggle to score goals. We're not clinical enough. We get Jackie in key positions like that, mate, a lot more often, and let her work her magic. Maybe we can score a little bit. Can score a goal or two more than what we have been doing. Because that for me is what sums up that goal. Your key player being in the position that you want her to be in and doing the magic that she can produce. And that for me is why that goal is special. Special is the word I'm looking for. Yeah, that's why that goal is special to me. That, or you know, it's class. That's the word I'm looking for. Class, special. You know, I reserve that for absolute thunderbolts, but that's why that goal was absolute class, because she has got a footballing brain. You know, she's like a bit like Juan Mata. You know, doesn't need to think about it. It just comes automatically through the ball gets to her. What am I going to do? You know, she sees the future picture in her head before the ball even comes to her, and then I think we need to just let her do what she needs to do a bit more than, you know. That's why we always harp on about why is lad not playing, because that when lad's on the pitch or when there is someone that can sit deeper and allow your more attacking, creative players to go out and play, it stands us in better stead, mate, and we can get them goals. We can, you know, we can find them passes in the final third a little bit better, you know, because you don't want to be on the edge of her own box. By the time she gets to the edge of opposition's box, she's absolutely knackered, you know. But I think that's for me is key, you know, that she was in the position that she was in, and it's all about positional play for me. You know, you have your best players in the best positions for the moments that you need them to work their magic, and that's what that's all about for me. That's a great goal, great finish as well. Because the one thing that I have been a little bit critical about Press is their finishing seems a bit rushed at times. This time, perfect finish, mate. Absolutely, keeper no chance with that one. Just drill it into the net. You know, make sure it hits the back of the onion bag. You know, and that'll do her confidence a load of good as well. Press, you know. A goal at Old Trafford now. She's gonna be bouncing now. You know, because I think somebody said earlier on, did she miss the 2012 Olympics at Old Trafford? A game there. I'm 100% sure because I don't really follow the national teams, as people might know. But that'll do her a world of good. That Press, you know, just to get that goal in you know, just get that goal under her belt. You know, at Old Trafford as well, at the Stretty end. Can't get any better than that, can it?
So you're talking about the morale boost and for LJ as well. So that's both of them there that are flying. Yeah. Look, you mentioned Van Mata there. Obviously, the United fans, just obviously we have to mention our thoughts go out to him and his family.
Absolutely. With
today's news. So let's talk a little bit about. You never actually said you're playing with the match. I'm guessing it was Jackie, Ben.
Yeah, Jackie, mate. Listen, I could have picked LJ as well because I now. Don't bang on about LJ all game, mate, to be fair, on Twitter, but definitely Jackie, mate, because she was a difference yesterday. Well, not yesterday now, Saturday. What day are we on now? Monday. Yeah, she was different on Saturday. She was different on Saturday, mate. Mate, my brain when we're away at nights, mate, it's scrambled. But yeah, definitely Jackie Groden is my player of the match. Who's yours?
I will just end up on saying I'll go for LJ, but regarding Jackie, here's one for you. I mean, we've said all the way through the season she could be our player of the season. I think the fact that Tobin Heath has only played half the season, maybe, I think Owner Battle, it will be up there. I think Tooney will be up there with the amount of goals that she scored and how well and consistent she's been there. Anybody else in the comments? You know, we're going to do obviously some sort of roundup towards the end of the season, but with only 4 games to go, not much can change now, really. With only 4 games of the WSL, I think Jackie's up there, isn't she? Matt, do you want to touch on that one before we mention the MUTV show?
Yeah, I think I'd agree. You know, I think Jackie, Owner, Tooney has got to be the 3. I think they've probably played the majority of the games, if not all of them, in Owner's case. Do you know what Ben had said, Leah? But again, I think because she's been out for a little bit,
yeah,
I think
maybe
I'm literally, that's all it's coming down to for me, just the amount of sort of game time and consistency. Literally, otherwise I'd be chucking Leah's name in there hands down, and you know, same for Tobin. But I think, listen, we could harp on all day about player of the year. I think it's disappointing the fact that they let the players choose, because for me sometimes it's not always correct, but you know, it's one of them. If fans get to choose, I think the Owner, Tooney, Jackie, just for, like I say, just for reasons that they pretty much played every game. I think, you know, like I say, Tooney's top scorer. She's got, 3, 4, maybe 5 assists. Owner's been absolutely solid at fullback, playing on the wrong side, because let's not forget, she's actually a right back, although she does play left back for Spain. She's been left back all year for us.
First season in the new country as well.
Absolutely, a new language. And yeah, and obviously Jackie's come in. Jackie's been miles better than last year, hands down. You know, if you're sort of talking, I mean, you know, you're not supposed to sort of say most improved, as such, in terms of trophies. But, you know, for one that's, for me, shone and really stepped up since last year, I'd say Jackie, absolutely. And I think it's helped that, you know, she's had better players in and around her as well. And she's been used a little bit more effectively than last year, where, you know, I noticed further on in the comments, Vic said sometimes, you know, she does do too much. And I think, you know, her and Hayley probably feel that at times. They probably feel like they're carrying the team, which could be why Hayley's on the bench, maybe a back sore. But I think, yeah, absolutely. You know, I think, you talk about those 3 names, and you've got to mention player of the year if you mention those 3 players for me.
Look, let's move on to the MUTV. We haven't left too long left, but if it runs over by 5 minutes, feel free, because we need to address this and give this the energy that I think it deserves. So for anyone who hasn't seen on MUTV, there's now looking like there's going to be a regular show regarding our women's team. I think it's long overdue. Maybe they've chosen now to do it because obviously the demand is there, but also to maybe get ready for the new season. So maybe they'll trial a few things now and then hit the next season with a bang, maybe. We've seen some of our favourites on there with Siobhan Chamberlain. Pina is on there, who does some of the podcasts and some of the interviews with the players, which is great to see. Zara is on there. Molly is on there as well. So quite a few characters there that we know. To me, it looks like a good little setup, and I think it could be even a longer show. You know, I think some of the areas it was like, it's like a bit of a sample, isn't it? The way I saw it, it was a bit of a taster. So great to see a bit of an interview with Casey Stoney as well. Great to see a tactical analysis as well. With, I think that was Zara, wasn't it? But that could have lasted even longer. We could have gone into even more detail there. There's just so much. Just the opportunities there, and we talk about creating content, and we haven't got Man United behind us. You know, this is just 3 or 4 fans who don't know anything that I'm doing on technology, just having a chat. But these guys, the world's a oyster, isn't it? So I love to see it. But Ben, let's start off with yourself. I mean, what would you like to see from the show? What are your thoughts on having a show?
I said on Saturday night, I don't know if you catch it, John, and I asked Matt this. Was this done because Sky Sports have got the rights to the games next year? Because it seems to have come out of the blue, this show. You know, because the one thing that Sky Sports have got better than any other sports channel, I think, is pushing out content. Whether you like people on Sky Sports, or whether, I know we've got a lot of international fans that watch us, whether they know about the Sky Sports UK, but I'm just wondering if it's got something to do with that, because it seems to have galvanised everything and pushed everything further forward, And it's great that Manchester United are doing this. They should have done it a lot sooner, we all know that. But it's really, really good, and I think we should be tapping into someone like Siobhan Chamberlain, experience in the women's game. We should be tapping into that to do shows regularly, and to try and get guests on, because we have. Is it Sue Smith? Her name, not Sue Smith. What's the name of that? She usually does MUTV as well sometimes. Matt, come on, help me out, son. Sue what?
Sue on MUTV?
No. She used to be a player or something. No, she's short blondish hair.
Yeah, Sue Smith. It
is Sue Smith, isn't it? Yeah, because she's been on MUTV before, and you've got the comedians as well that are in around MUTV, so you could use them as guests as well, players
Sue Smith's a scouser though, Ben.
Well, somebody has to be, don't they? You get on for Liverpool, we play Liverpool in a cup or something, because they ain't coming up, are they? So, so we could take the... But, you know what I mean, don't you? You have all these pundits that have been on MUTV that, from the women's games, that could come in and give the viewers an insight into the game, a lot better than we as fans can give an insight into the game. And I think it's really, really good that Manchester United doing it. I think me and Matt mentioned press conferences as well. I think, listen, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer gets a press conference every single week, and even if it's a 10, 15-minute press conference show that can be shown on MUTV first and then put out on YouTube later, like they do with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer every week, that would be absolutely fantastic as well to see, because we all crave content. We all want to hear from the manager. We all want to know injury updates and stuff like that. And listen, they always ask Ollie, what's the situation with this player and this player and that player, But and we like to see them come back. So if we get a regular sort of manager's press conference, even if it's within the club, like a club one. Like the club do, they do sit down with Ollie sometimes and do their own little mini press conference type thing within the club. Those questions do get answered. And those fans, we're not out in the wilderness or whatever. I'm thinking of when they're coming back. What's happening with this player? It'd be good to see that. And maybe get a little bit of insight into the club. Maybe see a bit more on the players and everything. Get a few more player interviews on there. And hopefully this keeps on going, because the sky's the limit for this. MUTV, reaches a vast audience all around the world. People want to know more about players. People want to know more about the backgrounds and that. You look at MUTV, the way they've done shows like with Eric Bailly as well, the background of where he came from, his upbringing, And who wouldn't like to see something like that about Jackie Groenen, a background or upbringing in Holland or whatever, I could do that, it's just good to see, really. And also it's good to see them push out a free match program as well, which later on Matt found out that you could actually purchase a copy if for those that like physical copies. But why they should have done that all for, for the men's team, they should have done that all throughout the season. For the men's team, for those that don't know, because I'm a season ticket holder for the men's side, is that you get because you're a season ticket holder, you get a free digital copy of the Manchester United program, matchday program for home games, and all you do is you type in your season ticket number, and then you can read it online. It's still available to purchase a copy for those that like the copy in hand. You can purchase a physical copy online still. But we should have been doing that for the women's team as well. Even throwing out emails to people that have season tickets or people that have purchased tickets in the past for the women's games. Should be throwing out emails saying, or even if like they did on social media this week, throwing it on Twitter. There's the link. There's your free copy of a match day program. People like them sort of things. It just keeps people engaged in the team, and people like to read stuff and read interviews and what have you, So long may it continue, mate. You know, the MUTV way. Long may it continue. Get shows, and hopefully you'll see more shows spinning off on that. Perhaps, you know, or, you know, you might get you know, a stat show or something. Maybe I'm not saying Statman Dave or whatever his name is, Statman Dean. I don't know what his name is, but
Shane in our case.
Yeah, Shane in our case. Not saying that he's going to come on MUTV every day and speak about, but it could be anybody. You know what I mean? The world's the oyster. And thankfully, United have seen that now, and hopefully they'll continue with it.
Ben, you mentioned so many things there that I could just delve straight into. I am cautious of time, but
yeah, I've just realised I'm blabbing on as usual.
No, it's okay. Look, there's always another show now, especially when we get our new channel. But we're going to continue just for another few minutes. I'll let Matt end the show shortly. But you mentioned press conferences there, Ben, and there's comments there about James Cooper being in the press conference. That was an amazing press conference. I think it lasted about 20 minutes. James Cooper, I think he started it and probably finished it. And we had Emma Sanders there as well, and a few other well-respected women's podcasts and journalists on there as well. I would just love to see more of that, and I guarantee if we could do what you suggested there, Ben, and I'm sure it's not that easy, or else it would have been done by now, but if we could air a press conference every week, like say 1 or 2 days before the match, we could do a show just on that. You know, we could all get together.
To be fair, they do it, don't they? But it's only like a minute 2 clip video on Twitter, isn't it?
Yeah,
you know, Casey's thoughts. Maybe we should get a little bit long with that. And to be fair, though, and that's something I did forget to touch upon. You just touched on James Cooper, though, from Sky Sports, man, which for those who may be watching us from overseas, James Cooper is like the sort of sporty journalist from Sky that works with Sky Sports. It was always in the men's press conferences and that for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. He's always the go-to reporter about anything Manchester United, breaking news and everything. I think it was so good to see that. And again, I wonder if it's a Sky Sports effect, you know, knowing that they've got this next season, they've got the platform to show the women's WSL games along with the BBC. I think it's the sky's the limit here. You know, I keep saying Sky, and it's very apt that Sky Sports are coming, but the sky's the limit. You know, and I think what you will see from Sky though, and I think tying with Manchester United MUTV, I think, because I think United have seen this, is you'll see more content. And BT Sport, let's be fair, mate, I've done a fantastic job, but Sky Sports will now elevate this now for next season, and I think you'll see a lot more from Sky as well in terms of promotional packages, interviews with managers, players, and whatever. Sky will push it because listen, they're not done it they're not done it for nothing, mate. You know, they've done it, and they've seen there's a gap in the market there, and they will exploit that gap in the market. It's the one thing that Sky are very good at, is doing that. So I'll shut up now because I want to hear Matt's thoughts, because we are gaining on time.
Yeah, I'll just dive straight into it. Just reading comments as well, Ben. Apparently Sue Smith's never been on MUTV.
Is she not?
I mean,
I must be dreaming then, mate.
I don't have MUTV, so I can't comment, but I don't recall Sue Smith anyway, put it that way, but never mind. No, I think in terms of that show, you know, it's great. I think obviously half an hour was okay, you know, for me, could have whacked it out to 45 minutes. But listen, you got to start somewhere. But yeah, I like the analysis bit. Well, I say I like the analysis bit. I like the short clip that they gave us of, like, you know, what it was. But I think if they went into that in more depth and maybe sacked off match highlights, because the match highlights are everywhere, aren't they? You know, it had sort of the Arsenal game on. I think for me, you know, you can watch that back on FA Play. The club put out highlights as well, of like an 8-minute sort of video, don't they? So I think, you know, you could tweak bits in that show. But like you said, you know, I know if anybody watches the sort of the match of the day extra, I think it's on a Thursday with Jermaine Genius, and actually had Katie Zellum on, and it was sort of, they went back to Failsworth, and it was, you know, where she grew up. This is where I first played. This was my house I grew up in, and just little things like that could be added to it. But listen, it's a good start, you know, and if we see it for the rest of the season, I'll be happy. You know, 30 minutes, 45. And yeah, just something that's good. I think they've got to use these shows not only to promote the team, but to sort of keep fans up to date. And, you know, even new fans that are coming in, new fans might want to learn something about, you know, team in previous years or certain players, and it's got to be used for that as well. So I think overall, good start, well done. Keep it going, and hopefully we can see, sort of increased coverage from it, and hopefully, like I say, it's rolled out even further. But yeah, I'll not go on too long, John, because I know if anyone wants my full thoughts on it, they can go back to sort of Saturday's show with me and Ben. But yeah, to summarise on it, like I say, good start, and long may it continue.
Yeah, and like Ben says, the avenues there, the scope that you've got, you just need someone to put that time and effort in, and you could quite easily make it even bigger. Matt, plan for the rest of the week then, starting tomorrow, Tuesday's show.
Yeah, 8 p.m. Me, you, Gareth, and Anthony, usual crew. We are talking social media, so that could be very interesting. That could literally can go both ways.
Anywhere.
So we're gonna, literally it could go anywhere. But no, listen, we've got sort of obviously as we do, we plan the shows and we've got a structure in place. But we do sort of, if the topic takes off and something goes one way, we'll go with it. So yeah, so that's tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Twitter live. Break on Wednesday, you can have a day off. Thursday, you're back, aren't you, with Nat and Adam Millington. Adam's a very good journalist. Someday, I've sort of come across myself, and it was funny because I had a conversation. I said to Nat, see if Adam wants to do it, and he does, which is brilliant. And then, what have we got after that? Saturday.
Yeah, it's our show Saturday, Matt. Come on.
I was trying to think because the game on the Saturday threw me. I nearly said match build-up, but no, Saturday, me and you, Ben, 8 o'clock. Sunday, match preview and halftime show. And check out Mary on TikTok. Yeah, do actually check that out. I know me and Nat's seen that's quite good actually. But yeah, so as per, what I'll do is after tonight's show, I will update the schedule. I will pin it, and then everybody will be able to follow it. But like you said, John, when our new YouTube is launched, we will promote it massively and obviously give it a follow. If you're not subscribed now, you're not following, at all for United WFC, get on that. And I'll let you finish now, John.
No, that's fine, thank you. And looking forward to tomorrow's show because that is going to be a very exciting one, the pros and cons of social media. We could do a whole week's worth of show on this one, couldn't we? But I'm really looking forward to that one as well. Look, thank you to everybody in the comments. Sham not going to be here, but she'll be back on the next one, I'm sure. And just tune in to our show tomorrow. Have a good night, guys, and let's roll on to the Bristol match, eh? See you very soon. Bye-bye.
See you later.
Ta-da.